This is your host or guest, Neville, and Austin here, in our audio-only podcast format. So, first of all, our listeners want to know, why did we decide to do, in the age of video podcasts, why have we decided to make an audio podcast?
Because the people that care to listen to us will put in the extra effort to listen to us, despite the lack of resources we provide them.
Huh. And they will care to just simply because we said to. Is this like that kind of a Kim Jong-un kind of thing? Like we are the dictators and we're forcing on them? Well, you got to have some stuff to draw your listeners in, right?
It's less that, it's more... the average user listens to podcasts while driving, and I don't want them to encourage them watching videos while they're driving.
All right, fair enough. That's good. We're all about safety first here on the pod. So it's the Safety First Pod. That's what we're going to call it. This is the Safety First Pod.
I think that's already copyrighted.
Safety Second Pod? All right, fine. This is Neville and Austin, and we are the Safety Second Pod.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Okay, no, this is a long-form podcast. What the hell are you talking about? You're confusing people, man.
All right, sorry.
I mean, one day some guy's going to listen to it, and they're just going to happen to go, that's the end of it, and click and hit next, and not realize there's another 3 hours of content behind it. Anyways. All right. So second thing we got to decide is the visuals for our audio-only podcast, because a lot of people have, do we have a black screen? Do we have just a picture of shoes and socks? What do we have for our...
I don't think you know how audio-only podcasts work. There's no visual element to it.
But a lot of platforms, when they stream, they have a place to put a visual element.
What is the cover art?
So the cover art, yes, the cover art. What should we do? How do you feel about shoes and socks?
I think the cover art should be Eddie Murphy in Coming to America.
I'm pretty sure that's also copyrighted. We'll stick with the shoes and socks. All right. So this weekend, we have the most expensive ticket in college football history happening this weekend, with Texas A&M and Texas.
15th ranked or 20th ranked A&M versus third ranked Texas.
Now, who exactly has Texas beaten this year?
Georgia.
No, they lost to Georgia.
Oh.
Even after they threw bottles on the field, they still lost.
Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. I guess that's something. Who's Texas A&M beaten this season? Gotta think about that one. They beat Alabama?
I think so.
No, they didn't. They beat Tennessee?
I don't think so.
No, they didn't. They beat Georgia?
No.
No, they didn't.
They didn't really beat any of the big boys.
They didn't beat anybody, yeah. So, but still, this is the most expensive ticket in college football. Ohio State, Michigan's the same weekend, too.
Who they even played this weekend? A&M this year.
This year?
Yeah, that they've beaten.
Oh, I think it's the...
Significantly. Vanderbilt?
I think it's the... no, I don't believe they even played... I don't believe they even beat Vanderbilt.
Missouri?
They might. That's kind of the tier they beat. They beat the Florida, the LSU.
Missouri. Not this year.
We'll find out. Oklahoma plays LSU this weekend. How about that one? Yes, they do. LSU, Oklahoma going to Baton Rouge.
Can you drive to Baton Rouge? I'd like to see that game.
No.
I've never been to Baton Rouge, and I hear it's good.
I've been to Baton Rouge. I was there in '88 for the earthquake game. Are you familiar with the earthquake game?
Or is this the one where Marshawn Lynch rocked the Seahawks?
No, Marshawn Lynch probably was born in '88, so it probably is not.
No.
No. So in '88, I was a freshman at Auburn, and that was our pledge trip. And it was a night game, and the final score, as I recall, it was about 7-6. Auburn was up 6-0 with about 30 seconds left, and LSU caught a pass for a touchdown in the end. And they say that the vibration was so large that it shook the stadium, and it was and they called it the earthquake game.
What month was that game in?
It must have been in September, because right after I pledged.
September.
Yeah, it was a pledge weekend.
Did you know or have an inclination at that time that a decade later, your wife would be giving birth to me? You have an inclination that'd be possible in 10 years in the future?
No. I don't think so. No. At that point, all I was really concerned about were the whiskey bottles that were being thrown from the upper deck down on us. Because they were full glass bottles. They weren't like, whatever else.
Special guest for our podcast.
Oh, we have a special guest? No, we don't. She's leaving.
Your podcast?
Yeah, this is our podcast. Would you like to be a guest on the pod?
Yeah, I would. I just want to send people.
All right. Well, listeners, you're going to have to take a break for a minute to get our special guest on the podcast.
Which is perfect. This will be a good time for a sponsor break. So I'll edit this in post, and we can add in our sponsorship.
Really? We edit the posts and stuff like that for that? I thought it's just go straight, no editing. I thought that was the whole thing.
Okay, fine. Well,
So don't you just have to verbally say the post?
We don't have a secured sponsor yet, so that's why.
Well, let's give somebody pro bono. Who do you want to give a pro bono sponsorship out to? How about would
Audible.
Audible?
Yeah,
How about Microsoft? Would that hit too? Is that too close to home or
That's a conflict of interest.
conflict of interest? Okay. Well then,
Audible has money out the wazoo. You owned by Amazon.
so that's not Amazon. So Microsoft, we're putting out. Now let's put a small business.
Okay, fine. La Baguette.
Yeah, but La Baguette's a good one. Yeah, La Baguette's a good one. Yeah. Okay.
This portion of today's episode is sponsored by La Baguette, where if you say that you know someone that works there, you're likely to get a discount. And use code 15. You use code AUGA for 15% off your next order. Thank you, La Baguette, for sponsoring this portion of today's episode.
How do they use the code AGA if they don't even have like a web storefront to put the word AGA
You
in?
have to visit in person.
In person, and at the counter tell Charbel, hey, I got the code AGA.
Exactly.
Okay, 50% off. 50% off anything or just off bread?
Off non-perishable items.
Non-perishable items. All right. With that, we're back, and we have our first guest ever on the pod. Abby Allenstein, come in here. This is an audio-only podcast, so you don't have to worry about making up your hair and your. So.
That looks nice. No?
Thank you.
Abby is a aspiring botanist, I think. Botanist?
Ecologist.
Ecologist.
So, Abby, what value does an ecologist play in society in 2024?
Well, you study our environment to see how we can make it better and preserve it.
But wouldn't climate change activists say that the world is already burning, so your work has no value?
Well, I'm not a nihilist, so.
Well, I am. Convince me not to be. Well, I'm not a nihilist, but all right. How much of climate change is caused by humans, and how much of climate change is natural processes
Basically
in percentages?
all of it.
100 to 0. 100 to 0.
I would say 95% is humans and 5% is natural.
95 to 5, huh?
Yeah.
All right. And what was the temperature of the Earth about 40,000 years ago?
I don't know.
God, why are you trying to defend terrible humans?
What would your
Because it engages the listeners and brings people into the pod.
What would your message be to Americans who say they don't need to worry about the environment because it's a problem for future generations and the world looks just fine to them right now?
There's not going to be future generations if we don't get it together.
But there's not going to be future generations anyways, because AI is going to kill us all, like launch all the nukes and kill us all anyways.
Good point.
Okay.
So why don't we just enjoy it while we got it?
That's a good point.
We
I
are
don't really
enjoying
think
it.
AI is gonna
Enjoying
control
it while you have it. Being sustainable isn't making life any less enjoyable.
Sustainable.
actually
Do
making
you
it
realize
better.
how quickly AI is going to kill us all?
You're just saying enjoy it all.
I know.
As if
For our listeners, we have another guest here.
Oh.
This is Addison. Remember, it's audio only. They can't tell
We
his
have to go
voices.
get coffee.
There you go, coffee. Hey, you want to listen to the Safety Second podcast on your coffee run?
Yeah.
You can listen to it on YouTube.
Can I have coffee?
Look under
You want to come?
Safety Second.
Don't you get out of the car?
Yes.
Oh shit. What are we doing?
Graham.
Oh shit.
Can you say that on the podcast?
Yes, we can curse freely on our podcast.
Oh, okay.
We'll lose our sponsorship.
Oh, no, I don't want that.
Sorry. Bleep out what I said then.
All right. So have we settled the climate debate and AI for future generations?
No, I think I'm
We haven't settled it? I think we settled it.
Can you explain to our listeners what the difference between ecology and botany is?
Ecology and botany. And
No, I was asking our guest.
yeah, and our guest left at that question. That offended her greatly, I think.
Was our guest offended by our question?
Ecology versus botany?
But
What's the difference
botany is the study of flowers,
in ecology?
the ecosystem as a whole.
Oh,
You hear that, listeners?
I think they got it. They got it. So, like, if I want to go to Africa and study rhinoceroses, I would not be a botanist.
Alright.
Got it.
This portion of today's episode is sponsored by BP.
Big oil, man! All right.
Caring for the environment since 2012.
We did.
Okay, I'm gonna go with them to get coffee, so we'll see you next episode on the Second Chance podcast. Wait for me.
Second chance. I thought it's safety second.
Safety Second
All right.
podcast.
Bye.
5, 4.
I'm sweaty. Hold on.